What is that? That's like
the Catholics. It's the Catholics.
Well, they're imitating Christ's sacrifice, dude, presumably.
Well, presumably, it's PODRZEBIE, the comic book nerdcast that dares to ask, what? Me worry? I'm your idiot, Kyle Bridget, and with me, your co-idiot,
Patty McInerney. Hey, Kyle, real quick.
Yeah?
I got a problem, man.
What's that?
We didn't actually discuss what the bit would be where I have a problem with being the co-idiot.
Well, I didn't think it would matter because we're recording this after the vernal equinox. So it's already an automatic reset. So I figured it was just kind of assumed that I would be idiot and you would be co-idiot until it comes around again.
Oh, okay. That sounds good.
All right. And you know what else is coming around? Our next department.
You didn't let me answer.
I'm sorry. Can you answer? You know what else is coming around?
Your mom.
Yeah, she's coming around the mountain.
Is your mother still with us?
Well, not with us this evening, but she's out there somewhere sewing a pillow or something. I don't know what.
Crocheting?
I don't think she crochets. She sews.
Oh.
But she never seems to reap what she sows, and that's kind of like always bothered me a bit. Anyway, it's spring. And I guess we better spring into our next department.
Springtime in glory, always springtime in glory, where the flowers are blooming rich and rare.
So rich and rare.
Where happy angels are singing, bells of glory are ringing. It is springtime forever, there's always springtime.
The That's All She Mon-Wrote department. Spring edition.
Is where we are. That's right. It's spring, and it's all about renewal. And we're renewing our exploration of the Monroe verse.
You know what my problem was? When I was reading this, I realized that I don't remember anything that happened in the previous episodes of Monroe.
First of all, though, I want to talk about the issue of Mad for a moment that's in. So it's number 362, dated October 1997. I remember owning this one when I was 15, and it must have been at the very end of my initial run of reading Mad, because I started when I was 6, and at this point I would have been like 15.
Yeah.
And I don't remember too many more Mads after this. But there's a few articles in this one that have sort of lived in my mind palace ever since. One was cheap foreign ripoffs of American cartoons by Sean Eisenporth and Sam Viviano.
Yes.
And I especially like the just the title of the Iraqi version of The Simpsons.
The blasphemous American Satan family.
I like that one. And I really like Germany's Bechtel and Bumhot. We can maybe read that one.
Yeah.
Do you do a better Beavis or
which-
Butthead? Beavis. You go
which one?
Beavis, eh? Wait, let me practice my Butthead. Damn it, Bechtel. Oh, okay. I guess I'll try.
Yeah, it's like
They're gonna be
it's
German
slightly-
too. It's gonna be tough.
There's a little bit of a Hank Hill in there.
Well, yeah, because it's like probably what's his name?
Mike Judge.
Mike Judge. Yeah.
Hmm.
All right.
This music does not meet my approval.
Nor mine. We are very idle, Bechtel.
Yeah, far too idle, Bumhot.
Perhaps it's time we should burn something needlessly.
Perhaps.
It was not good. That was not a good performance.
I thought it was riveting. You know what it really highlighted is that I don't understand the joke.
I think the joke is just that, like, it's this German expressionist look where he's looking out the window and there's like these long cast shadows, and it's this kind of like absurdist, existential, German vibe. Like, that's basically the joke. It's not like a specific reference,
Okay.
but it's got that kind of like German fatalistic, whatever. It's just like the Italian one. It's like Wilma's sleeping with Barney, and they look like mob bosses,
Well, that one makes sense because I understand Italian culture.
Yeah, so that one I remember. The Mad People Watcher's Guide to Typical U.S. Corporations. This one's illustrated by Tom Bunk, and you got to wag your mag sideways. And it's got that great skyscraper Wimmel builder with the cutaway walls that you can see inside. And the thing I remember most is all the pandemonium going on in every room. But then the top, this one grumpy CEO in his ultra luxurious office that he eliminated 47 jobs to pay for.
One of my favorite things in Mad Magazine are the cutaway walls
Oh, yeah.
or cutaway ceilings. I've always just been totally enamored with those.
And this style, I think, is very suited to Tom Bunk, where it's like diagrammatic because you've got a building. It's very like straight on, very easy view, opposed to like something Al Jaffe would do, where it would be like a 3/4 view and you would see some walls and it would be inside.
Yeah. Oh my God. I'm just sort of getting lost in this illustration right now.
That's the very first thing I remember of Tom Bunk's. I'm sure I've seen tons of things, but whenever I think of Tom Bunk, that's the image I think of, this particular comic. And I also like when other TV shows finally come out of the closet, which is illustrated by the Vermeer of the Borscht Belt, Drew Friedman himself. Specifically, I remember the gay Seinfeld parody, which we don't need to act out, but I think is very funny. Waka chicka, waka chicka, waka chicka, waka chicka, waka chicka, waka chicka.
Kramer, this is your nuttiest idea yet.
Jerry, I'm telling you, gay man sex is a thing. You don't know what you're missing. All the fun and pleasure without the heterosexual hassle. Oh yeah, buddy. Tisk tisk. Gay is the way. Believe you me.
Look, I'm not switching teams. I like my team. My boys like girls.
But Newman is so cuddly cute. And when he wears that mailman uniform, I go through the roof.
No way, Ben Gay. It's just not for me.
Don't worry, Kramer. You can count me in, baby. That's George. Waka chicka, waka chicka, waka chicka, waka chicka, waka chicka, waka chicka. Those are terrible.
Yeah, we did not sound anything
embarrassing.
the
That's more
Seinfeld.
embarrassing than doing a gay scene between Kramer and Jerry.
Well, we might have to cut that.
If just for YouTube community standards. Okay, and there's a couple more things in this issue I want to point out that I just think are neat. So George Woodbridge illustrates an article about restaurant reviews
Yes.
for flies. And so there are flies strewn throughout this issue in addition to the regular marginals. You'll just have like a fly with a little perforated line behind him or her.
I noticed that on the Tom Bunk one.
Oh, did you see one on the Tom Bunk one?
Yeah, down at the bottom.
There was one on the page we were just doing that maybe got cut for decency's sake. Also, there's a lot of nudity in this issue. I think I have like 5 entries for this issue on my mad nude list, which we've talked about before. It's a perfectly normal thing to have. I want to stress that. And I think it puts it number 2 on that list for the most nudity after issue 357, at least that I've found so far.
What are you counting? I mean, like, is Sexy Wilma a nude?
Not the sexy Wilma, but there's like a, who are the Goofus and Gallen?
Melvin and Jenkins.
The Melvin and Jenkins has one. The Tom Bunk, I think, has one. There is a mad look at cross-dressing, has some tits.
Nice.
There is another marginal. I don't go looking for marginals because what happens is when I open an issue of Mad and I see an instance of nudity that it's not on my very normal list to have, I mark it down, but then I flip through the whole issue and just see if I see anything,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because you don't want to miss something like that.
No.
But I don't check all the marginals. I only do the marginals if I happen to notice. There must be something. I don't have the list up in front of me, but there's 5 entries for it. Most issues don't get 1.
I think that one of those might be our topic of conversation, which is Monroe.
It is, yeah. Also, I'm still talking about this cover, though.
Oh, what the hell?
Yeah.
What do you mean still? We were talking about the interior.
Oh, well, sorry. I was talking about the interior, but now I want to talk about the cover. And this is one of those covers from the 90s where the different artists were taking turns doing yellow filigreed borders.
Mm-hmm.
And this one is by Angelo Torres, and it features something interesting.
It's an appearance of competitor. I mean, I guess dead competitor at that point, maybe.
Technically not yet, but the following year.
Okay. They pay homage to their competitor, National Lampoon magazine. You have Alfred E. Newman.
Yeah, Alfred E. Newman. He's reading the famous 1973 Death issue, where there's a gun to the head of Cheeseface the dog on the cover, and it says, "Buy this issue or we'll kill this dog." And incidentally, I don't know if I brought this up when we covered a National Lampoon article, but did you know that Cheeseface actually did get shot and died a couple years after?
Shut up. Shut the fuck
Sales
up.
were good, so it was unrelated. But yeah, no, he did. I'll link to an article called "Who Shot Mr. Cheeseface" in the episode description. But yeah, the dog died by gunshot. Like 3 years
Oh
later.
my god.
Also, apparently he was dosed up on LSD or something. I don't know all the details. You'd have to read the
I
article.
cannot believe this. This sounds not possible.
We'll save that for the dog episode.
Of course, they have it because this entire cover is an homage to that 1970s National Lampoon magazine.
Yeah, what's it say?
If you don't buy this magazine, we'll kill this virtual pet.
They didn't want to get sued for saying Tamagotchi.
Hatch a Tamagotchi, the one and only from Bandai, each sold separately.
Yeah.
Those things were popular.
They were, and we were so dumb about it. Like, because I gave one to my kids, and they played for it for a little bit, but it was just like, oh, it died. Oh, well, I'll restart it. And they were fine with it. I remember kids being very upset if their Tamagotchi
Oh, yeah, having
died.
funerals.
Yeah.
Burying it, having to get a new one. Okay, should we jump into this?
Let's jump into this. Monroe and A Sunday Afternoon with Dad.
Here's your recap, and then you can read the intro. When we last left our pimply protagonist, Mom and Dad had just got divorced, and Monroe had high hopes for that too Christmas lifestyle. You can read the introduction.
One of the most exciting times for any child is when their parents break up. Those Sunday visitations with Dad always mean loads of fun and a chance for a couple of bucks. Join us now as our hero Monroe heads to the zoo with his pop. That's the main thing that I didn't remember when I read this was the divorce.
It's like the only consequential thing that happened in all of the previous episodes that we looked at.
Obviously, I know it happened, but I don't know. I guess like he bought tampons too. That happened. He went to the beach and people saw his little wiener. That happened, Kyle. I didn't forget those things.
Well, it should have been the end of that episode. I didn't forget that. It ended on the wrong beat. That one.
Yeah.
Okay, so just starting with the art and our impressions of it. I think it looks pretty much like Monroe now.
Yes.
I know they eventually ditched this like crazy pattern. I think it no longer goes across the page, or I know they get like a gray background and stuff.
One of the big things is that eventually they ditch the arrows. That's what you're talking about. And
Yeah.
they finally have enough trust in the reader that they know how to read a comic.
But they also switched to a more readable format. Like this is fairly readable because it's just left to right, top to bottom.
yeah.
But they've been jerking us around, sending us into all these weird panels all the time with all these arrows that they need the arrows because now they've basically told you like, well, you don't know where you're going to go next. So you better follow
Yeah.
these arrows.
I think that Monroe still looks like a little young to me.
You think so?
Like he looks like a little boy. Maybe Bill had him grow up through the magazine, and I just have the older Monroe in my mind.
Well, they grew up to like this point basically and then kept it going. Maybe he got a little older. See, to me, this is like when I was last kind of reading it regularly. So I guess this just sort of seems like the right look to me, but it probably does change more. And I'm just not as familiar with later Monroe.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you want to jump into this?
Yeah. I want to jump into that first panel, if you know what I mean.
All right. Okay. All right. Can you defog your screen a bit here? Steam shooting out of Patrick's ears.
Listen, Monroe's mom had a rough night, but she's in this lacy negligee. You get butt, you get, I think, a very heavily implied breast with nipple. And
Oh yeah, and it's totally see-through. This is why I actually counted it in the nudity thing because I was like, this is so see-through now. This is like she might as well just be naked at this point.
Yes, and she's scrabbling around to get them back on again. But even before she can get her knickers on, I've seen everything. I've seen it all.
here's the thing. I mean, he really did a good job drawing that, like showing the transparency of it.
He does a lot actually because you can see, especially in the next panel, that he's used some whiteout or something on top of it. Probably because
Yeah.
her nipples were too prominent in the next panel.
But right over him, yeah.
But yeah, and you can see it over like her ass crack a bit there. There's a bit of like a wash, probably
Mhm.
just to kind of break it up and pass the sensors.
Yeah. Those damn mad sensors.
So yeah, she's looking rough. She's got a cigarette hanging out of her mouth. There's cigarettes on the floor. She's holding a bottle, and she says, "Monroe, your father is here."
Hey, Dad, you coming in?
And she says, No, he's not.
Only my monthly blood money mortgage payments are welcome here, right?
And that payment better be on time, smart guy.
Zoo again, Pop? You know what's interesting? That conversation happens over 3 different settings. You have like by the stairwell, and then in the living room, and then in the car. But the amount of time that must have passed between being in the house and then driving away and being hectored by your ex-wife.
Yeah, there's definitely some implied closure between those panels. I like the next panel and how simplified Monroe and Dad are drawn.
Yeah, I mean, because Bill like embellishes a lot of his artwork with the like the craft tint and then also like zipatone. And this is like it's kind of cool that, like you said, just a silhouette of the car, very simple drawings of Monroe and his father.
It's funny though that he uses like zipatone and everything, but then like this road, I'm pretty sure he's just hand dotted that. Like those dots don't look machined.
No.
So it's like it's a total mix. But then the next one, obviously, it's like a
Yeah, the craft tint.
so he takes his kid to a bar. My dad took me to bars. I had divorced parents. But it felt more wholesome than this. He took me to bars where there was live music, like blues matinees, and would get me chicken wings. This is much more depressing.
If you get brought to a bar where you can order a meal, that's a much different vibe than the bar that he was brought to.
And if there's music, it's a cultural experience.
Oh, absolutely.
It's educational in a sense. Yeah, and all the bar guys would be like, "Oh, you're Gary's kid." Actually, later when I grew up, I used to actually drink in that bar.
Yeah.
And like I would go in and all these old guys would be like, "You're Gary's kid." And they'd be like just putting down shots in front of me. Yeah. It's good times. See, divorce isn't all that bad.
You would make all kinds of new friends.
I certainly did. And you know what I learned from that experience?
What's that?
How to talk to adults. And that is something that came in handy when I was in like 19, 20. I was
Yeah.
able to go hang out with people who were in their 30s, no problem.
Yeah, degenerates at the bar.
Yeah, but you know what? My friends who were like my age, they'd be scared to go to the bar and talk to like old people and stuff because they didn't know how to relate to someone who was like a Gen Xer.
Yeah.
But for me, it was easy because I'd been hanging around with 70-year-olds at the bar. They were probably like in their 50s, not in their 70s, but
Everybody back then looked older.
that's true. That's true.
Yeah. All right.
Have you ever seen those photoshops where they put like a man bun on George Costanza and it looks like, oh yeah, he is 30.
No, I haven't seen that.
So he's sitting at the bar.
Talking to the bartender, and he says, "So I tell her, yeah, well, you keep the damn kid." With Monroe. Right beside him.
That's a good line. That is kind of what happened. Monroe said, like, I want to go with Dad. Like the dad was like, yeah, you're definitely not coming with me. Monroe keeps asking if they're going to go to the zoo. Dad offers him another Mr. Pibb. And then someone comes in. She says, "Hello, stranger. Why didn't you call me?"
Dusty, this is my son, Monroe.
Hiya. Oh, isn't he precious? Want some candy, Monroe?
Sure.
Let's see. I have to have something in this old purse. Here we go. Clorettes. Just wipe off that tobacco.
Thanks.
I like Dusty.
I love Dusty too.
Also, I like when Dusty shows up. Monroe is like really getting an eyeful of her heaving bosom.
Her rambunctious breasts.
She's packing. She's got some real dirty pillows there.
Well, Monroe's dad has a type. That's for sure.
Well, how do you feel? Because obviously you have a type. So how does Dusty work for you? Or she know Monroe's mom?
No, I think Monroe's mom, the bar is so high.
She's a classier lady.
Way classier.
Well, slightly classier.
She's just
it's measurable.
She's having a rough patch. I can fix her, Kyle.
Yeah, we've heard that before.
She just needs somebody to love her.
So, okay, so they leave and Monroe's dad says, "We got to go, Dusty. I'll call you later. What do you say, Monroe?
She's nice.
You don't know the half of it. His cigar goes sprung. Ugh.
I love the little, like, he's doing like a little bit of a wink.
Oh my God, what a dirtbag. This is funny because like we haven't actually seen that much of Monroe's dad.
Yeah.
I think they've probably established that he gambles and that he doesn't give a shit.
He's a
But,
gambler and he's a cheater, remember? Because during,
Oh,
I
yeah.
think it was the Christmas one,
That happens
Mom
after
was like,
this. So canonically, that's after this.
What?
Yeah, if you remember at Christmas, we jumped ahead like 3 years or something to do a Christmas.
Oh, shit. All right.
That's probably why you're thrown off.
The mom seems to imply that that was, he was stepping out.
He probably had some floozies, yeah.
Yeah.
And we kind of go over some territory because he says, "Why did you split up? Was it my fault?" And he says, "Don't be ridiculous, kid. Like I've told you 1,000 times, you're as good as you're gonna get." That was in the last one as well.
And then we get to the zoo. Then you do the dad. You've been doing the dad voice.
Well, I did it in the last panel, but you did it in the panels before that. We can
Did
do it
I?
at the same time. You want to try it at the same
Here we
time?
go. 3, 2, 1.
Hey, where did you get them fancy
damn
damn
sneakers?
Sneakers. Okay, you just do it.
Hey, where did you get those damn fancy? Hey,
Okay,
where did
you blew it. You blew it. It's my turn.
no, I can do it.
You blew
Hey.
it. You blew it. Listen, you don't get second chances in spring, this is a spring special. You blow it, you blow it.
God damn
Hey,
it.
where'd you get those? Damn it. That was your turn. You fucked it up.
Well, would you like a second chance, Kyle?
No, I don't. I'm bowing out. You go. This is your second chance. Second chance at glory.
Hey, where did you get them fancy Dan sneakers? I'm not sending your mom that much.
Uncle Jack gave them to me. Dad does not like that.
Kyle, what are those things, those like little symbols that come out? I know you know the name.
Broadly, they're called emanata, but
Yeah.
there's different kinds. So I don't know them all off the top of my head. I know sweat, like sweat that comes off. Those are
Yeah.
pewds. I think like swears and stuff like that are grolixes.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember them all. We could look them up.
Well, he's got some delightful emanata, like these lightning bolts coming out of his head as he grits his teeth at the news.
Oh yeah,
of
he's
Uncle
searing with jealousy. And we got some good characters in the background, like this guy with a bow tie and like a ponytail and glasses that's walking at the who is this guy at the zoo?
Oh yeah, he's like some creep professor.
Yeah, very strange, very strange.
And then there's another big-chested woman in the background.
She's got some big ones, some wabos.
All right. So, Uncle Jack, does he ever sleep over?
I guess. I mean, I see him at breakfast sometimes. Oh, look at that cool rhino, huh?
And there is a really cool rhino. That's like a beautiful drawing.
Yeah, and he's pooping, or he just pooped.
Yeah. Big old turd there.
I find this interesting because, like, at the beginning, Monroe's like, "Zoo again, huh, Dad?" Like, he's not interested. But now
Yeah.
he's like, "Hey, look, they have a rhino."
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like they've kind of lost the thread there. But I do like all the rendering on this. I love the rhino. I love the little bird on top of him.
Yeah.
This tiger in the background looks like an old school Tony the Tiger.
They're great! Look for this name in the corner, gang. Kellogg's Sugar Frosted Flakes.
Or like the Esso tiger or something. I don't know if that's some chicken fat.
Yeah, he's like smiling. Probably. I think probably not. I love the other birds to the left-hand side of the panel too. Those things are pretty cool.
I like how they're rendered, how it like there's so much open space. The white of the water just kind of flows in and out of the drawing.
Yeah.
And it also helps to kind of keep them in the background and stuff. No, he's just such a pro, Bill Ray.
He rules. All right, so they leave the zoo. And you say you're positive you like me more than this Jack fellow, right?
I keep telling you, yeah. Can we go home now? I mean, can I go home now?
They get to the house. And Monroe points out, "Well, Dad, wait. There's a note from Mom."
And I love all the like newspapers. They're just all, or no one brings in the newspapers.
Yeah. And there's a bottle too.
And Dad says, "Oh, geez." And the note says, "Went out with Jack. Keep Monroe till 11 tonight. No junk food."
Come on, kid. You hungry? We'll go have some beer nuts with your Aunt Dusty.
Something I do like about this that I think kind of adds a little bit to Dad is that he obviously doesn't like Mom, but he's jealous of anyone else having her.
Yes.
More so than I think he would be later. But then also he is concerned about being replaced in Monroe's esteem.
Yeah.
And I think that's interesting for the character.
It's good writing. That's what that is.
Also, the divorce was such a good premise for this cartoon, and I feel more hopeful for it. Like, I mean, I know it continues to be good, but certainly before the divorce comic, you know, there was a little trepidation that was just going to be kind of the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
And this is not at all like any other comic before it. Like, this is very new.
The idea of like the dysfunctional family has been done to death, right? So having it be a dysfunctional family that's divorced, and then you have all of that relationship dynamics going on, it does make for a good story.
And a relatable one, because Monroe is like the age that, you know, that you might be when you're reading Mad, you know?
Yeah. And when your parents divorce.
Yeah, I was already reading Mad when my parents divorced. I'm sure that actually helped me get more issues of Mad and Cracked.
Yeah.
Because I could double dip.
Yeah. Hey, Kyle, your Aunt Daisy's coming over. Here's a humor mag you like. Put on some headphones.
Never had an Aunt Daisy. There was an Aunt Paulette. There were some others. Okay, so any good chicken fat in here? Not a ton. I mean, that's the thing about Monroe's. There never is a ton.
Not really at all. There's usually something like Ren and Stimpy related, or like some brand of something that's amusing. What jumped out, I guess, is like there are 2 billboards,
Yeah.
and those ones are pretty good.
Yeah, eat all day and get fat, which, you know, it's a good advice. Like, it works.
It is.
So,
And then, of course, just good plain meat. Eat.
that's for all those people on the carnivore diet. Well, it's nice to be back with Monroe. I can't wait to see where it goes. I bet the next one will be a mom-heavy episode, probably with Grandpa, I bet.
Ooh, I sure hope so.
That's my expectation. So you want to bring your like tongue roller for when it rolls out and hits the floor.
I'll be sure to practice my wolf whistle.
Fire up the klaxon. All right, so should we spring forth to our next department?
Yes.
Spring, spring, beautiful spring, with all the beautiful things you bring. Spring, spring, beautiful spring. Tra-la-la-la-la.
You can say it.
Boing. This is the spring-powered department.
You forget I can put those sounds in post.
I like doing them. I'm better than whatever you can put in. That was a slide whistle and then a spring.
That's fine. So we're getting cracked today. And I picked this issue, number 330 from November 98, because it's our spring special. And this issue has Jerry Springer interviewing the Simpsons in Springfield.
Dude, did you watch a lot of Springer when you were a kid?
I felt like there was 2 phases of Springer. So I watched the earlier phase, not like the really early phase, but when it first got crazy, leading up to when they did that movie, Ringmaster or whatever, Ringleader.
Yeah.
Ringmaster, probably.
Ringmaster.
Ringleader sounds it's more like a financial blackmail scam movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched up to about that, and then it became like wrestling after they broke kayfabe. And it was just way more fake, but less crazy.
Yeah.
Whereas like early on, it was really inspired.
It really was. And I remember watching it because it was a daytime show, but then I would end up watching it when it would be on reruns at like 10 at night. I think I've talked about like my secret TV in my bedroom.
Yeah, many times. Your dirty little TV.
It was like a fundamental part of my childhood is my secret TV. But yeah, watching this late at night and just again, like every other thing that I was attracted to, like, you know, National Lampoon, Mad Magazine, there were parts of it where I was like, ooh, I should not be seeing this. And it felt good.
It was pretty edgy, and there'd be crazy things. You'd get, the white supremacists and the perverts and like the trashy people.
Yeah.
There must have been a fourth thing. Like dying kids and celebrities and stuff.
Yeah, or no, it'd be like, "My husband's gay, and I don't know yet." And it would just be like, some poor dude is like, "Babe, I'm gay." And then she'd beat his ass.
They do
She'd
like
beat his ass.
maternity tests and stuff. Or
Yeah.
not maternity tests. Those are usually pretty easy to figure out, but it'd be like paternity tests.
Here's my maternity test. It's a picture of me giving birth. Yeah, and then there'd just be people like heaving slurs at one another, and just like this flurry of bleeps, and then sometimes censored bar. It looks like one of your YouTube videos with all the censor
Oh yeah.
bars.
So I liked it then, but then afterwards they sort of changed sets and it became, I don't know, it was almost like it became an amusement ride or something. Like it was the same guest every time.
Yeah,
I don't know if it became more about the audience or something, but it really toned down, I felt. And I didn't really watch after that.
yeah.
So I picked this particular issue because the article is in color, which is something Cracked used to do periodically for special issues.
Mhm.
Have a few color pages in there or one color throughout the book. They often broke out the color for the super cracked issues, or I think they're called the cracked super issues,
Yeah.
which they did at least 16 of between 1987 and 1999. And what was cool about those is they'd be mostly reprints, but they would have these few page parodies of contemporary superheroes and comics, which is something Mad never really covered.
Yeah.
They didn't do really much in terms of comics, maybe newspaper comics, but they would only really do superheroes if they had like a show or something.
Yeah.
And so one they did that I always remembered was they did a lampoon of the death and return of Superman.
Oh.
Yeah, it's full color. I got a picture of it right here. Just the cover, but the comic was pretty representative. I think Walter Brogan did it.
Whoa.
Yeah, so the premise was it's a death and return of Superman, but when he comes back to life, he's a disgusting, mutilated, stinking zombie, and everyone barfs when he's around.
Yeah.
They'd often get, and in fact, I think they did in this issue, get Alan Cooperberg or Kupperberg to do the art, and he was an actual Marvel Comics guy. So these things look great. They look like the comics, and they did like Marvel versus DC send up. They did an Onslaught one called X-Men, XEX, where they're all gender swapped.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that going on here. I feel like this wouldn't fly today.
Dude, no way. Not, yeah.
This Simpsons parody wouldn't work. And also that last issue of Mad had a mad look at cross-dressing, which
Yes.
wouldn't go anymore. Even though I think some of the jokes are kind of loving, but still. Anyway, so I picked this because I thought it was something special, but it turns out Crack just always had color after this particular issue. This is the first issue where they went color and just stayed
Oh,
color.
really?
Yeah, they might have gotten more color later, but yeah, it just became color. And also, they raised the price. It was $1.99 American, just the issue before, and this issue is $2.25.
Did they beat Mad?
Okay, so for reference, Mad at the time was $2.50, cheap,
Yeah.
and that's having gone up from $1.99, cheap, in March 1996. But by the end of 1998, it would be up to $2.95, cheap. So there's your cracked facts for the episode. So I sent you this on the archive, and I'll link that in the show description, but I was pleasantly surprised to learn afterwards that I just happened to own a physical copy of it. And now this isn't one that I owned as a kid, but funny enough, I did own the issue right before this one, right before the price went up. I don't know if that was a factor. And that was possibly the last Cracked I ever bought new.
Yeah.
I mentioned when we looked at the Mad issue that we looked at from 97, I was 15. That was kind of the finish of my initial Mad readership.
Yeah.
Well, here when I'm 16 and 98, I'm done basically.
Yeah.
And I'm buying heavy metal exclusively. I got a couple more issues of Mad, but they'd be because like my grandmother would give them to me at Christmas or something. But this issue, because it's from around the time I was reading, it's still got the same editorial staff from my childhood, Lou Silverstone and Andy Simmons, with Cliff Mott as art director. And it has most of my favorite Cracked artists from the time, Pete Fitzgerald, Don Orheck.
Who you love, Donnie Orheck.
Oh yeah, Frank Cummings, Bruce Bollinger, Mike Riccigliano has a few pages, but he's not doing the table of contents Wimble Builder. But Severin does a really funny one in here. You know those secrets of magic exposed with the masked magician?
The guy, the weird tiger mask or whatever.
Bet you didn't know that's how it's done.
Next, the secret of sawing a woman in half and how to make a 7,000-pound elephant disappear when magic's biggest secrets are finally revealed.
Yeah, so they do a play on that, but it's Uncle Magic, starring the masked uncle. And he exposes magic tricks like got your nose and stuff like that. But also he explains them wrong. So like for the got your nose, the uncle has a variety of noses pocketed that he gets from a dumpster behind the rhinoplasty clinic.
Yeah.
Or there's one where he sticks a coin on his forehead and it's like, well, here's how he does it. There's a tack glued to the back of the coin. I thought that was pretty good. I like the masked uncle. I can't remember who wrote it, but they sign Uncle so-and-so is the writer and then Cousin Severin.
Oh, that's funny.
Artist. And then, of course, Gary Fields, who drew today's article. If the Simpsons were guests on the Jerry Springer show, or according to the table of contents, Simpsons on Springer, or according to the cover, Jerry Springer, Cartoon Confessions.
That's bold. 3 different titles.
It's like they didn't know what the title was going to be when they were making each part, or they didn't bother to look.
Yeah.
And all the titles are better than the one they went with, which is If the Simpsons were guests on the
Jerry Springer show.
Like that sounds like that's the concept, not the title.
Yeah, it sounds like in the meeting, like, hey Gary, what if the Simpsons were a guest on the Jerry Springer show? See what you can do with that.
It should have been Springer in Springfield. Boom.
Yeah.
And he is in Springfield because Jerry Springer is depicted as a Simpsons character, and all the characters are Simpsons characters.
Yeah. He has yellow skin. Jerry Springfield.
I do want to talk about the creative team before we get into it. So Gary Fields, he was always a favorite of mine. He has a real clean cartoon style. He had a series in Cracked called Canine the Barbarian. It was like a muscle-bound anthropomorphic dog barbarian a la Conan. But he was also very good at aping the style of other cartoonists, at least when they had simple styles. So it's like you probably wouldn't get him to do a Lil Abner parody, but you know, if you were doing like a Looney Tunes parody or Rugrats or something, you would get Gary Fields. So Viviano was a bit like that in Mad at the time, but I think Fields does it better. And that was actually his gig outside of Crack too. So he did the cheap comic book versions of Ren and Stimpy comics, the Ninja Turtles comics, Cowboys of Moo Mesa, Scooby-Doo.
Oh, wow.
He did a Duckman comic.
Duckman.
Yeah. So it's like he was the guy that you would get to do a cheap comic version of a more popular TV show. So I was kind of surprised he was never actually in Mad. You know, I think he was in Freaky actually.
Yeah, but I mean, is it that surprising? Because weren't Mad like a little bit high on their horse? They wouldn't hire people who were over at Cracked very often.
Maybe, but I mean, they hired Tom Richmond. You know, he came from Cracked.
Yeah, but Tom Richmond he's like a little bit undeniable, and they needed somebody to do caricature ones.
Yeah. He also, I think, left Cracked for Mad with there being like a gap in between. Like he did a gap year or something. But, you know, they took Bill Ray. And, you know, I think some Cracked artists have too much of that Cracked stink on them.
Yeah.
So like artists like Riccigliano, his style's way too primitive. But you've also got artists like Walter Brogan, Bruce Bollinger, Rob Orzechowski, where their art is very refined, but it's too ugly for Mad and it has too much of an edge.
Yeah.
And I would have put Bill Ray in that category, but he made it work somehow. But also, he doesn't have a lot of nice things to say about his time at Mad, so maybe it wasn't a great fit. The writer, Greg Gabiansky,
Yeah.
he got hired at Cracked off of the back of being an intern at Mad.
Oh,
Yeah, he was an intern at Mad, so that got him hired at Cracked.
Cracked steals another top talent from Mad Magazine.
My guess is he wasn't a top talent. My guess is he was submitting to Mad and they weren't buying anything.
Yeah.
And then you do the thing as you walk across the street to Cracked, submit it there. But then after Cracked, he went on to write for Beavis and Butthead. And that basically set the rest of his career. He writes for animation now. That's kind of his gig. And that's kind of how he writes his comic. The characters have kind of the exact tone of themselves on the show.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I think it kind of hurts it a bit. Like, I think you want those personalities exaggerated a bit.
Yeah.
But they kind of exaggerate the scenarios, but not the personalities enough.
Yeah.
And I think the same's for the art in this. It basically looks good enough to be in a real Simpsons comic.
Bill Morrison might take umbrage with that.
Maybe, but I think you could clean it up a bit and have flat colors, and he would look fine. They also, Simpsons comics had different styles in it too, so they didn't all have to look the same. So I think Gary Fields could have easily done a Simpsons comic, and he probably wouldn't be making it look quite exactly like The Simpsons.
Yeah.
But it didn't have to be exactly like Simpsons, and I think it hurts it here too. I think you want the cartoon characters to be more exaggerated, and you want more cartoon cameos and chicken shit in it, which is Crack's version of chicken fat.
Are you serious? Is
that's the term we coined?
Oh,
in a previous episode.
I don't remember that.
The little editorial thing on the screen for people watching the video version. Yeah, so that's kind of my complaint about it, but let's spring into it. I think I might have used that one. Let's spring forth. Spring a ding a ding ding. Okay. You want to read the intro there?
You stepped on my sound effects.
Oh, so I'm going to put my own in. Cut yours
There
out.
have been... No, you better not do that. People love my sound effects.
I have a whole folder I've built with sounds.
Oh, God.
Just sitting there. I've got so many springs.
There have been charges that Jerry Springer's guests are fake. We don't know if that's true, but it might be interesting if some of his guests actually were fictional characters. That made us wonder what it would be like if the Simpsons were guests on the Jerry Springer show. God, it's such a bad...
Could you try a little harder?
It's such a bad title.
I know it's a bad title, and also the intro's not that interesting. Like, the intro's just there to be an intro because the title is the intro. Like, you don't need that intro to say, like, oh, maybe the Simpsons aren't real people, and maybe Jerry Springer's guests aren't real. Like, Jesus, like, why bother? They only have that there because that's what Mad does. Otherwise, they would just have the title.
They created the language.
Yeah. So we've got the Simpsons there, looking good.
Little Bart reading a Cracked.
Oh yeah, Bart is reading a Cracked with like a really fun Sylvester P. Smythe on the cover. Okay, so we've got Jerry Springer. He says, "Welcome to the show. Today's topic is the usual one. Secrets revealed. Meet the Simpsons, Marge and Homer." I don't know if we have to do the impressions for the whole thing.
Can I do a Homer impression?
If you want.
Oh. Come on, Marge. Tell me what's going on, please. Tell me, huh? Tell me. You want $1 million?
No, I'm...
$2 million?
No, I'm...
$3 million?
There's no money involved.
You want 1 million donuts?
No.
2 million donuts?
Homer, my secret is I'm really a man.
Oh, so no donuts?
And she like lifts up her hair. She's got like a tight cut gray hair. She's got some chest hair and like 2 baseballs fall out of her shirt.
Yeah, she looks like Dr. Drew.
Is that what he looks like?
Yeah, exactly.
I always close my eyes when he's on the screen. So Lisa says it's awful. She'll never play jazz, just blues. Bart says it's a relief. He thought he lost his 2 softballs. And Lisa says that with that gravelly voice, she thought Mom had throat cancer for sure. I'm glad it's just because she's a man.
And then Bart, oh my God, this is such a funny line. Now she can be the father we never had.
That's a good line.
Yeah. So like what you were saying about that exchange between the two of them, that is exactly Simpsons writing down to a T.
But not as good because it's imitating it. That's the problem.
And this is also at like peak Simpsons.
98? What season would that be? Like season 9, probably. I think they started in 89.
Yeah.
I started watching The Simpsons at the exact same time I started reading Mad and Cracked, the same year. So Homer has a funny thing. But again, this is like what Homer would say. You can't be a guy, Marge. You don't wear pants. Your shirts fit. You pee standing up. Oh.
Dude, that was a good Homer.
Was it?
Yeah.
Maybe I should be doing Homer. What's your Marge?
Oh, how could you not?
That's Yoda.
How could you not?
Suspect something? How could you not, homie? You think anyone can grow hair this big or this color? It's the bath mat I rolled up and put on my head.
I thought my feet were cold in the morning. Like, like that's how the Simpsons would handle this. They would be like, it's a
Yes.
bath mat. It'd be a visual gag. Only it'd be more interesting because it would be animated.
Yeah. It's pretty decent writing. I mean, like, I know you're saying it's not as good as The Simpsons, which is true, but that's such a high bar. This is good writing. This is funny.
I agree. I'm not knocking the writing in that sense. It's just that I think it should have been different. I think it should have been less a faithful appearance of the Simpsons on Jerry Springer in Springfield. I think it probably should have been like in Toontown and had some
Yeah.
other cartoons, have Nanny Dickering in there somehow,
Yeah.
know,
Nice.
but it's too faithful, I think, for Cracked. And Homer says, well, I have a secret to reveal too. I'm really a woman. See, I've got boobies.
He lifts his shirt up and you see his little titties.
You're not a woman, Homer. That's just flab.
And then this is the panel that made me think we should read this because I thought you would like this. Bart
Yeah,
said,
you're-
do you want to
No,
read it
go
or
ahead.
do you want me to read Marge?
You do it.
Neither of us can sustain Marge for this whole thing. We won't be able to speak tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, if you're a guy, then where did I come from?
Well, you know how your father sometimes calls you a little shit?
I do like that.
And Lisa's like doing the barf mouth facial expression. Yeah, so he's a butt baby. They're butt babies. Which I think is problematic now. I think that joke is kind of not as common now. I think it might be considered
No.
homophobic.
I think most of this would be considered some type of phobic.
And so they bring on their next guests, which are actually the neighbors of the Simpsons. And they have their own secret, which is Ned Flanders and his family. Do you want to read Ned or Homer?
I'll read Ned. Hi, Hitler-yo, neighborino.
Flanders? Your secret is you and your wife like dressing up like ghosts?
Haha, no, Homer. It means we're white supremacists, right, dear?
That's right, Ned. Anybody for some fresh, hot iron cross buns?
Huh? Look, Daddy, I'm an artist, and Todd is pretending he's a soldier.
He's spray painting a swastika on Homer's ass there.
Yeah.
That's like a Simpsons joke.
Look, Daddy, Todd is stupid, and I'm with him. And now Mommy's stupid.
Looking good, Rod. Looking good.
I like Bart has a gun for some reason, and he's reading Mein Kampf in the panel before.
Wait, Bart is? Oh my God.
Yeah, in the panel where they come on, he's reading a book. If you look in close, it might not be able to see it on the screen
Yeah,
there. But
no, I
it's
see it.
Mein Kampf.
And Lisa is about to burn a cross.
Oh yeah, and she's like got like angry eyes. That's pretty edgy stuff. Like this would not fly in Mad,
No, not at all.
White supremacists? Now that I think about it, the subtle clues were there. I should have guessed.
Hiya, Homer. Isn't it a beautiful day? Say, do you think I can borrow some gasoline and a lighter?
Barbecue, huh? Well, I guess so.
God bless.
He's in his KKK robes and he's
Yeah.
holding a cross, and Homer's giving him like a gas can, like a jerry can of gas.
God.
Let's see here. So Jerry Springer, he brings in Apu, who wants to confront Ned.
Apu? Are we talking about butt babies again? All right, you do Apu.
I
You
don't
love
think anyone
those.
should do Apu. I would like to say that the wait, how's
No,
the
do it.
racist Indian accent? I haven't done one in a while.
Oh, thank you very much. I would like
Good
to
day.
say that ignorant people like yourself
That
are
is a
not
thousand times more racist than the character of
able-
Apu. I would like to say that I can't do it. We'll just go with your super racist one.
It's not racist. Thank you. Come again. I would like to
That
say
was pretty good. That was pretty good. Now you got it. Let's give it
Yeah.
another go.
I would like to say that ignorant people like yourself are not needed. Judge a person for who he is, not the color of his skin.
And he throws something at Ned. He says, "Ow, not fair. He's got a wooden billy club."
No, it is only hot dog from my quickie mart.
Well, time to replenish the hot dog roller. Lul, lul, oops. Oh no, it is encrusted with filth. Oh well, let's sell it anyway.
That's just like a Simpsons joke.
And then, oh, they got the chanting.
Jerry.
Jerry.
And our next guests are Homer and Marge's son, Bart, and daughter, Lisa.
Dad, Mom, Dad number 2, we have a confession. We went into business with Grandpa Simpson.
And Jerry says, well, that's nice. What did you go into? The lemonade business?
No, the adult entertainment business.
Oh, yeah.
And Grandpa's there. He's got his adult diaper on and his midnight cowboy hat on.
And some chaps.
Chaps, yeah. And Lisa's playing the sax and he's dancing. And then the crowd's chanting, take it off, take it off.
You want me to take everything off? Okay, then here's my depends.
And he's got like the little digital blur over it.
Oh, I love that touch.
I like it, but it would look better if they had like cut it out and pasted it on. I feel like it would have been like, I feel like in trying to draw it, it's a valiant effort, but it can never succeed.
Yeah. The funny thing is like, I think we've seen Grandpa Simpson naked in something not unlike this, like dancing naked.
Well, there's that bit where he's back in World War II and he's like disguised as a showgirl in Germany and he takes down his like shoulder and the coconut falls off. And Hitler's there and he goes, that is not in booby.
Oh, I forgot about that.
That's a good one. Yeah. And the diaper like plops someone right in the face. Someone who looks a bit like Selma or Patty.
Yes. I was thinking that too, but we don't see who it is.
And this is where it finally veers from The Simpsons a bit more. And Grandpa's like, still not satisfied? Alrighty, here's my hearing aid and my dentures. And here's my artificial leg and pacemaker. I like the artificial leg. That's a good touch.
Well, yeah, because it looks it's like a log. That's it.
Yeah. And then he's like, oh, my pacemaker. Arg! Jerry says,
finally, someone died on my show. The ratings should be great.
He says, what's the deal with someone dying on my show? That's the other Jerry. And then so now it's time for audience questions. And he says, why do we involve the audience? It's simple, really. After all, they represent America today and what Americans really care and think about. Let's have a question.
All right. My comment is for the little midget with the basement tattoos. Why did you go from Snow White over here to Sideshow Bob? Like, what?
I have a question for Mrs. Flanders regarding her affiliation with hate groups. Do you have any more of those hot iron cross buns?
And the whole audience is Homers.
Yeah.
They're all saying,
buns.
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 My favorite. Sacrilegious. It's the waffle that he'd been praying to on the ceiling. And all these Homers, they all look like Homer. There's one that looks like a Mr. Burns Homer, or I guess maybe his brother-in-law Herb. But there's one guy up at the top that I think maybe that's Matt Groening.
Oh, with the beard?
Isn't that kind of how he looked and dressed?
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, a little flannel shirt and everything.
Maybe. There's also an Elvis Homer, which I like too.
I love that. Yeah.
And Black Homer's good too.
I think Black Homer might be my favorite because Black Homer also has like a mustache.
Yeah, he kind of looks like Ving Rhames or something.
Yeah. No, he looks like what's his face? The guy who does Family Feud.
Oh, Drew Carey.
No. The black guy.
Oh, yeah.
And he would be like, he had that one
Steve
bit where
Harvey.
it was like, Steve Harvey, yeah.
Yeah.
You remember when you were young, you used to take a piss. Now you're old and you urinate.
One, I love his outfits. His outfits are great. He's always dressed perfectly for Family Feud. But I like how he's just always like, people give like a cheeky answer. He just like parts out the lips, like, gives him that look.
Oh my Lord. I can't believe you said that, Grandma. It's like, damn well she was going to say that.
Yeah. So then how's Jerry Springer leave it?
He leaves it thus. So until next time, take care of yourselves and each other, you collection of ugly, poor, fat slobs.
What do you think of this?
I really liked this. I thought it was a lot of fun. Like you said, I mean, it is like very Simpsons. They captured the tone of Simpsons a little bit too well, but
Yeah.
I think ultimately it serves the comic well.
Like the content feels like cracked, but the writing and the art feels a little bit too on the nose. Like, you remember when we did that? It was like the Oprah Winfrey parody that Bill Ray did, where it was all the monsters, the monster
Oh,
kids.
yeah.
It's like you've got lots of chicken fat and fun things in this. Here, all the chicken fat is like in the context of The Simpsons.
Yes.
Except for the one cracked issue.
Yeah, the background is just sort of like very generic and there's nothing else happening. I guess except the kids doing stuff.
Yeah, and I know I talked up Gary Fields, but like this doesn't highlight what's great about Gary Fields, other than that, like he does a really good approximation of whatever cartoon he's supposed to be parodying.
Yeah.
But the things, if he was actually in Simpsons comics, it would be like this, but it would be more in his style.
Mhm.
Whereas like this, he's kind of avoiding flourishes that he would naturally have in there, I think. Before we leave, I wanted to look at the very last inside cover because I thought you would like this.
Yeah.
It's the second last page.
The
Also,
penultimate page.
yeah, yeah.
That's how I like to talk.
Like what? Like an asshole?
Say words like penultimate. All right. What am I looking at? The day Mac became a wanted man?
Yeah. Okay. So this is a parody of the classic Charles Atlas, The Day Mac Became a Man, or whatever it is.
Holy shit.
Yeah,
Oh
I thought you'd like this. So it starts Max. He's not on a beach, but he's in sand, like at the school. It says Charles Whitman School.
Yeah.
And a bully kicks sand on him, just like in the famous comic. And then he's giving him a wedgie. And he's talking to Mac's girlfriend saying, "Who is this kid?" She says, "Some nerd." He says, "Come with me and I'll show you the damage an M80 can do to a toilet." And she says, "You're dreamy." And then so in the next panel, the sort of, I think one of the more iconic panels from this comic where Mac is like, would be doing this book. He's got guns and ammo.
Darn it. I am sick and tired of being a nobody. Charlatan Heston says he can help. All right, I'll send him my allowance and see what he can do.
And then read the next panel. This is pretty insane.
Cool. It didn't take long for Charlatan Heston to turn me into a dangerous young psychopath. I can't wait to show the kids.
And he's like looking in the mirror, and he's like Rambo in the mirror.
He's holding a revolver, and in the mirror, his reflection is, like you said, Rambo holding like, I don't know, some type of machine gun.
Well, do you remember in UHF when like Weird Al had on the Rambo muscle suit? That's what it looks like. So then he's in the school. He's shooting a kid, presumably the bully, in the head. His brain is flying out. There's dead kids around. And what's he saying?
He's saying, "What, you again? Here's something I owe you. Something I owe all of you."
And then when he's being dragged out by the police.
"Now everyone knows who I am. Thanks, Mr. Heston."
Jesus. I think this is before Columbine. This is why it happened, actually. And then the ad is for the National Rifle Association. At the bottom, it says, "No need to send this coupon in to get your gun. Go to your father's nightstand and take the gun he recklessly left lying in there."
Oh my God. That's amazing.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like if you did this nowadays, you'd be on like a no-fly list or something.
No, I don't think so. I mean, like, is it any worse than like the ghastly Crumb Tinies that they did in Mad in the reboot?
Maybe. I don't know. I think that's pretty bad. Also, like, when did Columbine happen? Like pretty soon after.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think it was 99. Couldn't have been before this.
99, yeah.
Yeah. April. So months after this. This issue's from November. So like a few months later.
Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah, that really took the fun out of school after that. I'm glad I went to school in a pre-Columbine world.
Yeah. Wait, I went to school in a post-Columbine world.
Was it like crazy? I don't know. Was it all locked down? Can you not talk about things? Can you not draw pictures of you killing the bullies and stuff?
No, I think it was pretty chill. You could still be like, I'm going to fucking kill you if you cross me again.
Yeah, I think it took a while to ramp up, but it's much more tight now, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, should we blast our way on out of here?
Yeah.
At the breaking of the dawn, I can hear the Broncos neighing, I can hear the Cowboys sing. I'd like to be in Texas for the roundup in the spring.
Welcome now to the begging and groveling department.
That's right. This is where we strip down and dance ribbons carefree round the maypole. And that's because we want something from the venerable goddess Austera. We want her to slide down the phallic Yggdrasil and bless us with fertility and renewal. And we want you to tell your friends, tell your family. Maybe you're a drunken co-ed with low self-esteem and father issues, just going wild in Key West. We want you to write PODRZEBIE across your milk muffins and flash them at some dickhead frat boys that they can listen to it while they work at their dad's hot tub dealership. And they can give us 5 stars on their favorite douchebag podcast app, or like they can subscribe on YouTube and hit like.
What did you say? A hot tub dealership?
Yeah, that's what douchebags work at. Their dad's hot tub store. Would jet skis be better? I should have said jet skis.
Piano shop, piano store.
I don't think pianos. I think it's like
Daytona Beach
hot
piano and organ stores.
Well, but they're visiting. They're visiting Key West. They're from out of town.
Oh, okay. Good
It's
point.
spring
good point,
break,
good point.
baby. All right. So also you can send us letters.
Yeah. PODRZEBIEPodcast@gmail.com. Has anybody checked that
Subject
recently?
line idiot mail. Make sure to address us as Dear Idiots, or it's springtime for idiots, or something along those lines.
Yeah. It's springtime for Hitler and Germany. Such a good song. Hey, Kyle, where should they go if they want more of you and less of me?
Well, you can complete the Eleusinian initiation rites by making your yearly return from Hades, crossing the river Styx, to visit my website, kylebridget.com, or you can visit my YouTube channel where I have a variety of spring-appropriate programs, and everywhere else I'm at Little Cozy Nostril, and those links are in the episode description. How about you, Patrick?
You can go to youtube.com and search Flippin' Through. I post a new video every Saturday, do a live stream every other Saturday, and it's a fun time reading through old issues of Mad Magazine and other humor magazines as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I don't have anything snarky to say to that, so we'll be back sometime with more PODRZEBIE Podcast.
Thank you so much for listening.
By the way, Ed, how's your mom?
I'm gay!